Hello, and welcome to Magic is Gathering. My name is Kevin Harland. I'm a creative producer for Card Kingdom, and welcome to Card Kingdom Studios, or at least what we have for Card Kingdom Studios right now. We are in the state of Washington, which is under a stay-at-home order, so we are working from home as much as possible to continue to produce some cool content for y'all, including the show, which is Magic is Gathering. Because while Magic the Gathering is a game that we gather together and play across the table from each other for the most part, it's also about the community. And this show is about that community gathering together to support each other and to provide a platform where we can share stories about how COVID-19 has impacted our lives, whether we're a cosplayer or a game designer or a local game store owner, all the way to magic artists. And this is our final episode, and we really did save the best for last. So without further ado, I'm very excited to introduce Mike Turian, who is the principal product designer for Magic the Gathering. Mike, hey, how are you?
I'm hanging in there. I'm super happy to be on the show.
Yeah, well, thank you for joining us. I really appreciate you taking some time out of your very busy schedule, designing some cool new Magic products for us to chat and share a little bit about how COVID-19 has impacted you guys at the other end of things. So before we get into that, though, tell us a little bit about who you are and how you came about to be a Magic designer.
Sure. Yeah. So, like you said, I'm still Mike Turian, and I'm principal product designer at Wizards of the Coast. I've been at Wizards of the Coast since 2004, so I guess that's 16 years now, coming up on 16 years. Uh, and I've done a lot of different roles at Wizards. Like you mentioned, I came in as a Magic designer. I'd been playing Magic on the Magic Pro Tour, and Randy Bueller, who was my teammate
Yeah.
before he started working at Wizards, he was the director of Magic R&D at the time, and basically the interview process we had, because I'd graduated college, packed all my stuff up in the car, driven across the country, and was crashing on a friend's couch in Seattle because I sort of knew that this intern contract position would be coming open. The interview process was going to a local Mexican restaurant, and over lunch, he was like, "So I don't think there's anyone better who could be doing this than you. So are you interested?" And I'm like, "Sure."
Yeah.
So that was uh, an intense interview process, for sure.
Yeah. Now, do you remember which Mexican restaurant it was, and are they still around?
16 years is a long time. I have no idea. I think my wife and I and our family had Mexican food the other week, and I couldn't tell you what I ordered then. So that's
Fair enough. Fair enough.
yeah. And so from there, that got my foot in the door. I really worked, what at the time was called a Magic developer. Now we'd call it sort of a final game designer, right?
Mhm.
Working on play testing. Eventually, I started leading Magic set designs. Um, so once again, the final stages that includes Future Sight, World Wake, Conflux. It was a big honor to lead a large set, Scars of Mirrodin, and
Yeah.
and then a, a whole bunch of other products. Like the first Plane Chase
Oh, yeah.
was my thing, and so from there, so I did that for I think 6 or 7 years,
Okay.
right? Yeah, good.
Oh, no, go ahead. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I did that for 6 or 7 years, and from there I went into the organized play team. I went on to the digital team, became a producer, worked on programs like Planeswalker Points, the store and event locator, Wizards Event Reporter, and so I did that for a few years. Then I became a product manager for Magic Online. Uh, did that for a couple years. Magic Duels, a similar type role. And just a few years ago, I rejoined Magic R&D
Yeah.
as a principal product designer. And once again, I'm now focused on sort of those premier sets, like Throne of Eldraine, Ikoria was one of the sets where
Yeah.
I was we call it product architect
Mhm.
for those style sets. So That's sort of
Yeah.
that's 16 years in 2 minutes.
Very nice. Well, so a principal product designer, what does that look like on a daily basis? Obviously not today, but maybe before the restrictions went into place. What did that normally look like for you? What sort of work were you doing?
Uh, so a big focus of my role is carrying making sure that uh, each product I'm working on both has a vision,
Hmm.
right, and working on what that vision is, and then carrying that vision throughout the company. You know, the when you if you just read like the daily MTG website, right? If you just are visiting our website, you'll see Mark Rosewater, you'll see Gavin, right? There's a cast of people that you're like, oh, okay, but that's just like the tip of the iceberg. There
Oh,
are so
sure.
many people. There are so many people that work to bring Magic to our fans and carrying the vision of sets to so that way, no matter where you are in the company, you have a good idea of okay, Throne of Eldraine. That's a set where we're trying to capture this fantasy resonance of in storybooks and right for
Yeah.
Ikoria. Oh, the set about monsters and mutation and what does it mean if you're living on a plane where there's these giant mutating monsters? Like how does that affect the individual citizen? What does it mean to be a bonder? Right? There's
Yeah.
all of these. Uh, and of course, we're coming out with magic sets. We release a new premiere set basically once every 3 months.
Hmm.
And especially now in a world where we're visiting so many awesome new planes and we're visiting planes, it just there's a lot there to make sure that yes, we get every detail right because it really comes through in the end.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, so speaking of which, that's what things looked like, and I'm sure you're still doing all those same roles. But how has COVID-19 impacted, your daily operations, and then also Wizards of the Coast in general, as you guys design and release new Magic sets?
Yeah, I think to me it's been interesting. I feel like we've kind of me personally, I've gone through this arc,
Hmm.
right, where uh, at first there was just this I'll say need for understanding, right? The understanding of course COVID and sort of its reach. Being in Seattle, we were the basically the first place in the United States where it became known that COVID was being introduced into the population, and so Wizards had a few days of work from home. This was even before the governor canceled schools. And, and during those days, for the first few days, I think that's really where there was like, oh, meetings were being canceled. I don't think that people thought, oh, this is going to last. I think we just crossed maybe day 50
Hmm.
of the governor's stay-at-home order, and I don't think that there was that immediate realization. But even into people's credit, even like the following week, all of a sudden you started seeing this resurgence of tools that maybe people had been working on but not prioritizing,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden those digital tools became uh, such a big player. I mean, like for even just the basic tools like Zoom,
Yeah.
right? I mean, Zoom became a household name just 2 months ago. Before then, it's like I'd use Zoom for meetings, but it wasn't a thing, right? It wasn't being featured on network television uh, at all. And now, it's hard to find a show that's uh, doesn't have some Zoom references.
Absolutely. Well, yeah. So, how have your Magic teams adjusted processes as you guys, design and release new sets? I mean, Ikoria is releasing, in what, just a couple weeks here, a week and a half.
Yeah, talking about the Ikoria release date's kind of a challenge in and of itself. You have to break it down by some regions it was released uh, basically on time. Of course, there's Magic Arena and the changes there.
Yeah.
North America, it's become more than just a release date.
Yeah.
Uh, there's uh, there's changes all up and down the board, right? I mean, from the simplest things of, oh, what does it mean to not have a commute during the day, right? It, to like the complicated of, all right, we need to be playing Magic, to understand what these new cards are. How are we going to organize playtests? How are we going to organize feedback sessions,
Hmm.
right? Like, what does it mean for our market research? There's, and with each one, there's pluses and minuses. Like one of the things that I think has gone well is digital just has a better reach. Like if I'm doing a presentation uh, to the company, it's not, you don't have to worry about room space, right? Like
Yeah.
there's just that physical limitation that isn't a physical limitation. We can take recordings of meetings and share them for note keeping and just for, oh, I had to miss this meeting. Well,
Interesting.
hey, here's a recording of everything that happened. If there's a section that you're interested in, fast forward to that section.
Hmm.
Uh, and so those are some good things, but then there's other things that are just, you need the in-person collaboration that digital doesn't offer, right? Or the thing that of course is always killer is, all right, I'm going to make my important point, and then the video cuts out, the sound cuts out, the call drops,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah, you
I
get that
always,
like two people talking at the same time, like oh no, you go. Okay, all right.
right, yeah, exactly. And there's just that general loss of uh human connection, or not
Yeah.
maybe loss, but just replacement of human connection that uh you know is challenging. And one of the other things too, and one of the big things for my role is, I spend a lot of time, I'll say at work, walking around, visiting with people, checking in with people. It's sort of just, oh, hey, you sent me a couple of emails. I want to follow up with them. Let's just have a 5-minute in-person conversation
Yeah.
and resolve the topics. Where digitally, there's people who typically I would be having those conversations with, who I now haven't touched base with in, a week, 2 weeks,
Sure.
uh, besides maybe once again in a larger conference call setting.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like I think the name of your show, right, Magic is Gathering, really gets to the heart of, what is so different now than previously.
Yeah.
You cannot gather with people,
Yeah.
and what does that mean? I mean, I think everybody's feeling that impact, for better and for worse.
Absolutely. Uh, Now you said that you guys are having some challenges with playtesting cards and finding new processes. Are you using webcams and actually playing games with those future cards, future league cards? Do you have a digital structure that you've created?
Yeah, I mean, we've tried all sorts of different tools. I think that it can be product dependent on what works. There's some products where it's like, oh, hey, this is with, more known cards.
Oh,
Okay,
sure.
what does that mean for, oh, this is, we're designing a whole new set, whole new experience. And so we've really just been customizing the playtesting to the experience itself,
Hmm.
um, as best as possible. And then once again, working through technology, right? I mean, you mentioned webcams. I know a lot of people have been playing uh, games via webcam, and
Yeah.
that's great. I think it reminds me back to my cousin Nate Heiss, who also worked at Wizards now many years ago.
Yeah.
We would play Magic over the phone, right? Like, right when we started playing, we were, I think I was 13, 14 when I started playing Magic,
Yeah.
and we would play Magic over the phone. And I mean, it's one of the things I kind of attribute to becoming a better Magic player, because you just have to keep your opponent's entire board state
Yeah.
in your head, right? So uh, that's a different level of awareness.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like a step up from play by mail, at least. It's a little bit more consistent, but wow, that's very difficult.
Right. Yeah, it's something that, and you can tell how big of fans we were of Magic, that
Yeah.
we were uh, playing by phone.
Yeah, I
Right.
believe it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So I guess, what do you miss most about being able to be physically present with your coworkers?
Ooh. I think, to me, I mean, I'll just use the word connection, right? You know, I as a person, I'm this blend of introverted and extroverted,
Hmm.
and so right now the introverted part of me is very sated, and the extroverted part is, it is missing. Like, I like the, oh, hey, a few minutes before a meeting, we're just chatting about our weekend. I'm hearing a story about, just a funny story. There's a good joke that's said,
Hmm.
and the laughter and camaraderie there.
Yeah.
Uh, one of the things I do for work is, like I said, sharing the vision to of different sets, and that just involves a lot of presentations.
Hmm.
And the energy that you have to bring is just a step up when you're doing a presentation digitally. And so there's that. And then also, you don't get that feedback, right? Like the audience, like I remember talking about the showcase cards in Throne of
Yeah.
Eldraine, right? And like the whole presentation to, everybody internally was built to really, talk about this new initiative and how come we're doing it. But the moment where I started showing the showcase cards, right? That's just a powerful moment as a presenter. It's a powerful moment as somebody was working on the initiative,
Hmm.
right, and preparing for it, of just, getting uh, my coworkers' feedback, many of who are very enfranchised Magic players, and running that gamut of like, oh, will this connect with new players? Will this connect with our enfranchised players? But those oohs and ahs
Yeah.
and that feedback, that is something that you don't get when you're just talking to a computer screen.
Absolutely. Yeah. My wife and I are both theater people. We're theater artists. That's what I trained in. And I agree with you. There's just something magical about being, whether you're presenting or making a speech or on stage, you feel that connection with the audience that you're presenting to. And, you can take that energy and build it into your presentation, as opposed to, when you're sitting in your office at home and you have a webcam in front of you and you're watching, this chessboard of 80 different faces. You don't know who's actually looking at you and who's not. It's a very different experience, and I think that we are losing out on something really special, that human connection, and that kind of like energy sharing. But we'll get there. We will get back to that.
Right. Yeah. It sounds like you must have done at least some amount of improv, right? And
What
as
gave me
part of that,
away? Yeah.
yeah. And as part of that, one of the things that makes you better at improv and better is just that immediate feedback loop, right? Of,
Hmm.
you do something, the audience responds. You're like, oh, I'm going to build on that,
Yeah.
even like we call it an in joke, right? It
Yep.
is kind of and so the feedback loops are just disrupted in this way,
Yeah.
uh, and especially too, like, we're working on magic sets years in advance, so a lot of times, like, we already have a delayed feedback loop in other ways, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, for instance, with the Coria, it's like, oh, okay, how are people going to respond to the creative? It's this new world, like,
Yeah.
how are they going to respond to these mechanics? And now just everything being disrupted for other reasons. Like, there's already so much, I'll say, noise in the feedback, right? Just being maybe variance is a more precise word.
Sure.
Uh, Even before the impacts of COVID.
Yeah.
So
Well,
yeah.
I can attest. I've been playing a lot of Arena. I've I'm not commuting. I'm working from home. I've got a lot more time on my hands. My boss is watching tonight, so I'll just say that I'm not playing Arena during work hours,
No,
unless
you're
I need to.
during work hours. You're multitasking.
Yes, yeah, exactly, yeah. But I'd love to touch a little bit about how Wizards is supporting the Magic community. So how are you guys supporting the Magic community through some of your digital offerings like Magic Arena and Magic the Gathering Online?
Yeah. So, speaking about digital, one of the things we've really tried to do is connect digital to tabletop, right? Like we rolled out an initiative called "Be Your Store's Champion,"
Yeah, yeah.
and stores were supplied with arena codes for cosmetics, so they could, do this, sort of show off, like, hey, I'm somebody who supported my local store, and connecting to the fact that, like you said, you've been playing more arena than ever. Well, it's a great time to have cosmetics, right? It's a great time to, hey, I want to try out different sleeves, different,
Just all Godzilla cards, all of my decks. They're just all
oh yeah,
Godzillas.
all the Godzilla cards, right? Getting, I enjoy. I have the Jace puppet,
Oh yes,
right?
yeah.
Right, and so while you're waiting for your opponent to think, it's fun to just be clicking and making them dance,
Yeah.
right? We've been doing F&M at home, and that was one of the first things we rolled out in March, and that's, once again, it's that, okay, how can we bring a gathering, right? I mean, F&M has just been such a staple of the Magic community for so many years.
Yeah.
We just knew, like, we had to bring that connection, and so uh, that was a big thing. For stores, of course, you know we we rolled out the Magic Companion app with Event Link, and partnering that with webcams, and then also just sort of changing up some guidelines for stores to make it easier for them to charge for digital events, right? Things that we've otherwise uh, tried to keep them separate.
Oh sure.
So, and then finally, the at home pre-releases, I think, is
Yeah.
a big thing we're doing for Ikoria specifically. Uh, it's actually, I look at this evolution of pre-releases. If you've been playing Magic long enough, there used to be those giant tournament hall pre-releases, and
Yeah.
we sort of shifted more towards a store support model where there'd still be nice size pre-releases, but at stores. And this is kind of the extreme, right? Of, okay, now it's you and your sister and your brother and your parents.
Yeah.
And you've all gotten pre-release packs. So I'm looking forward to seeing some pictures of sort of that at-home pre-release and
Oh
how
sure.
people do that. But that's sort of the whole gamut
Oh
of.
yeah. Well, I gotta say, I think now is the best time ever to teach your parents and your siblings how to play Magic. They
Right,
can't get away.
absolutely.
Yeah, they'll get hooked. They can start digging through your collection, build some really terrible decks, and then you'll realize what a mistake it was. But by then, it's too late.
Speaking of, so one of the things I've been doing to stay, busy. Of course, I have a family and
Hmm.
and work, but just on the weekends, it's like, okay, oh, I'm going to clean out the hall closet. I'm going to clean out my bedroom closet. Clean out the kids' clothes. And then I was like, uh-oh, I'm running out of projects. I may have to start sorting Magic cards. Like, it may get to that level where I'm going to tackle the giant collection of Magic cards in white boxes and start organizing them. I don't know. I haven't got there yet, and having a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old in the
You
house,
got
I
enough on
think
your
would make that
hands.
even more
You're
challenging.
good.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
that's
I do want to call
yeah.
out one other thing that y'all at Wizards have done, and that's on Magic Arena. You have made the Brawl Guild Hall free right now, which has been great. I have been slamming all sorts of Brawl games, built a bunch of new decks, and it's really great to see that population really rise. Brawl is a lot of fun, and it's been really fun to really kind of dive in now that I've got the extra time on my hands.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying Brawl. I think it's a really fun format. And I think that you highlighting that, it's like, yeah, the mystery boosters. We're
Hmm.
supporting stores with mystery boosters. I, I've been very impressed, personally, just with how many different ways Wizards is really trying to support stores, support players, in the way that, in the best way that we can, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many people who are, oh, I've got to go to work in the hospital, and
Yeah.
really taking those type of risks, or uh, whatnot. But I've just been impressed with how Wizards is, in our domain, we found a lot of ways to help out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure that you all have been impacted just as heavily as every non-essential business has been. And so I think it's really wonderful that you all at Wizards have kept community first and foremost, and you've rolled out all these programs to help support the local game stores, support the artists, support the creators, support the community, so that we all can have that entertainment. Because now more than ever, I think a lot of people are looking for that distraction from life. And speaking of distractions, oh man, so at this point of the episode, we usually get a little dark. So what we're going to do next is a little game we like to call Debate Watch. So
Okay.
today we've got a special debate watch. We haven't touched on this yet, but both Mike and I are pretty charitable minded. I'm on the Engage team, which is a part of Card Kingdom, where we design these charitable events, and Mike is as well. We'll touch on it a little bit later. But so today we're going to be debating the topic of which Planeswalker would be the best to co-host a charity event with. Yeah. So I'm going to go first so that I can give Mike a little bit more time to think about how terrible my answer is, and that'll make his feel really good. We've got Lavinia here in the
I like
middle
that.
to judge over us, but the ultimate judge is actually going to be you, chat. So as we wrap up our arguments, it's going to be up to you in chat to vote who you think would be the best, whether it's my answer or Mike's, which we'll get to in a second, or maybe there's an answer that we didn't give. Maybe you think that it's Joyra or Karn. We didn't pick either of those, so if you think that's the right answer, you can throw that into chat why you think that's the right choice. Maybe chat will agree with you. And if you are watching this on YouTube, once we post this to that channel, feel free to drop in the comments what you think of our terrible arguments and who you might think is a better choice. So today, I am not afraid to say that I will be arguing for three-time Debate Watch winner for Magic is Gathering, Dak Faden.
Okay.
And Mike, who will you be stumping for today?
I'm going with a Johnny. I think a Johnny is the way to go here.
Oh, that is really good. Okay, all right. Well, we're gonna jump right into it. I'm gonna put 60 seconds on the clock on my own side, and we'll get into why I think that Dak Faden would be the best person to co-host a charity event for. I mean, first off, we know that Dak Faden is charismatic. He's probably the best looking and best dressed planeswalker in the entire multiverse. He may have gotten some of those clothes with a 5-finger discount, but that's not the important part. He is he's very charismatic, and with a lot of these charity events, you need that host to go up there on stage. Maybe it's like an auction off a date type thing. Dak Faden is gonna really sell every single one of those people as they auction them off. He's really going to sell the charity that they're supporting. But the number one reason, the point that I'm really get down to with Dak Faden is he has this ability, a magic ability called psychometry, where he can touch any object and know its entire history, which is great because as somebody who's run some of these charity events, there's a lot of work going into telling the hosts like, okay, well, hey, we're going to give you this box. This is what it is. This is what it's worth. This is why it's valuable. I could just give it to Dak and he could be like, oh yeah, this is the Commander 2018 box, and just go with it. Granted, he might take some of those home, unfortunately, but that is why I would say that Dak Faden would be the best charity host to co-host an event with. All right, Chad, I apologize for that once again. Mike, I've got 60 seconds on the clock. When you're ready, I will start that timer.
Let's do it. All I have to top is the greatest thief in the multiverse. Yeah. Okay. Here's the deal with the Johnny, right? The Johnny, if you check out his backstory, he actually, he's lost his sibling, his brother, and to me, somebody with that sort of tragedy in their life, they are somebody who can speak from the heart and really represent the charity and the effort that is being represented well. Uh, Check out his colors. He's white and recently added green, and to me, those two colors, like the green, you end up with that sort of kumbaya style
Hmm.
feeling that really you want a charity event to capture. He cares for his allies. He cares for people. Like that has been a Johnny's deal since his introduction to Magic. And if you look at his abilities, they're all about healing. They're all about strengthening, right? You have cards, and even helper cards that known for like a Johnny's Pride Mate, right? About gaining life. Just there's so much goodness that a Johnny represents. Right?
All right.
He's plus one counters everywhere. It's
Counters for
a
everybody.
Johnny.
Look under your chair. You might find a +1/+1 counter down there.
That's right.
Okay, well, chat, it's not up to Lavinia here. It's actually up to you. So we're going to put 60 more seconds on the clock while we try to poke holes in our very airtight arguments we've made here. So, chat, it's up to you. But you said that Johnny, first off, a very tragic character. I agree. But speaking of tragedy, okay, Dak not only lost the love of his life, Mariel, but his entire village. Johnny just lost one person. Granted, it was his brother, but one person.
Well, I mean, here's the thing about Dak. Your argument for him is he's good at logistics, right? You're like, oh, he'll know the history of the people. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, while he's stealing their watch, he'll be learning their backstory.
Well, yeah,
But
but here's the thing. We just
people
send
won't
him
have
out into the
anything.
crowd. He shakes some hands. All of a sudden, we got a bunch more donations. I don't need to know where they came from.
God, I like how your charity is built on corruption. It sounds more like a money laundering scheme than a charity
Yeah.
running activity.
Full disclaimer, this is not how we run Engage. We do not
Yeah,
steal
that's
money.
right.
We ask for it nicely to help support those communities. I do gotta say, Johnny would be very cute on stage. I'd probably want to adopt him at the end of this. So at least on that note,
I even brought my Johnny Extra Life T-shirt to show Johnny is the Extra Life
oh
mascot.
man. Well, I didn't get any votes, and you got all of them. So I'm going to just go out on a limb and say that Johnny definitely was the landslide winner here. Unarguably the best Planeswalker to co-host a charity event with. However, if you're watching this on YouTube and you think that we're wrong, go ahead and throw those in the comments. Tell us who you think might be better. I thought maybe Xenagos, but then I really thought about Xenagos, and I thought, no, the party's not worth it. Party is not worth
Yeah.
it.
Uh,
Well, okay. So to kind of bring things back in, I'd love to talk a little bit about the future and how we can continue to support each other as a community during these hard times. Is we see some states starting to relax their restrictions, and we try to get back to some sense of normalcy with the understanding that we might have more of this ahead of us, in the summer or come fall. So first off, I want to ask you how can the Magic community help support Wizards of the Coast during all this?
to me, I think the best way to support Wizards is really just by supporting your local game store, right? I think that Wizards as a company, we're gonna keep making awesome Magic cards, awesome Magic sets, and wherever you buy those cards and however you engage with Magic, right? That's the thing that's if you can continue doing that, that's what's going to be so important, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we really view the local stores that you buy Magic at. That's really the lifeblood of Magic, right? That's where you're getting together, and gathering.
Yeah.
And so to me, when I hear that question, that's how. And then I think a second thing that's always important to remember is, there's so many people, both at Wizards and then at game stores, just in the Magic community, and just being good to one.
Oh, We lost you. Hold on just a second. Unfortunately, this is part of streaming from home. Every once in a while, we lose a little bit of internet connection. That should come back up in just a moment.
Oh, okay.
Hopefully. Hello, hey, you're back.
Hey,
Okay, welcome back.
hey, I'll start with the second thing I was
Yeah,
hitting on there briefly was, being good to one another.
yeah,
Magic is such a community. There's so many people involved, right? At Wizards, at stores, running events, uh,
absolutely.
just organizing your local get together, uh, and especially the more you are online, the online conversation can often take a little bit sour of a turn,
Yeah,
if you let it. And so just making sure that your intent is clear, and that being kind to one another,
yeah.
right?
Be
I
good
think
to
that's
each
just
other. Yeah,
like, yeah, be good to each other. Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
Uh,
And that shouldn't stop. I mean, as much as we want COVID to be over, being good to each other, that part can keep on continuing.
yes, yeah.
That's just good, good everyday.
Yeah, it could be. It can help us cure this current situation and help us survive, but it can also make us a stronger community in the long run if we continue those practices.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Well, I kind of teased it a little bit, but and I shared a little bit about Engage, which is Card Kingdom's charitable giving arm. We run two events every year. The first of which is the Gauntlet, and then we also have the Chalice. The Gauntlet is a big charity board game tournament, and the Chalice is a big Magic charity tournament that we run with a lot of our friends and affiliates from around the whole multiverse. But Wizards of the Coast has programs like that too. One of which is Extra Life, which you kind of teased a little bit. You have the shirt, and you are team captain of. So I'd love to hear a little bit about what you do with Extra Life, kind of how that came about, and any plans you guys might have for later this year, either for Extra Life or other charitable endeavors.
Yeah, so I'm really involved in two charities. Extra Life, which raises money for children's hospitals in the United States, right? So Wizards is supporting Seattle Children's Hospital, and then the Safe Crossings Foundation. I'm on the board for the Safe Crossings Foundation, and that's helping kids and families who have lost a parent. And Wizards supports the Safe Crossings Foundation also.
Yeah.
So those are the two charities I'm involved with. For Extra Life, one of the things that we did last year was we did the Ponies the Galloping
Yeah.
product, and so I was the lead on that product and getting it created and greenlit, and everything that goes involved into giving money to charity
Yeah.
as a corporation, right? And so that was a huge initiative, and we always do our Extra Life stream in late October, early
Mhm.
November. Basically, Extra Life has an event day, a Extra Life game day, and so we're doing that again this year. It's November 7th. We'll be
Cool.
doing stream, and we have all sorts of fun activities, right? Like we did a hot sauce challenge. We did playing arena where you can't see your opponent's half of the board, right? If you want to do that on your own, you can take a piece of paper and
Yeah.
tape it up to your monitor and realize it is really tough to
Yeah,
play
it's
Magic.
like playing Magic over the phone, I would say.
It's like playing Magic on the phone. Yeah, yeah. There were chat was giving some clues, right, as part of that
Yeah.
initiative. But it's it was incredible. We won Extra Life Partner of the Year last year, as all of Wizards. So Magic does charity fundraising for Extra Life, and Dungeons and Dragons team did also.
Oh, we lost you. Hold on just a second. Let's see if the internet picks back up here. Chat, sorry about this, but this is part of working from home. Unfortunately, some of the internet goes a little slow.
Okay,
Oh, hey, you're back. Okay. Yeah, you were telling
great.
us
Yeah.
about D&D and D and Extra Life.
Yeah, so yeah, we won Extra Life Partner of the Year last year, and Magic plus D&D raised over $1 million
Wow.
for children's hospitals throughout the country. And so we're like, that was a big goal, right?
Yeah.
Because when I got involved, I think this will be the fifth or the sixth year. The first year that Magic raised money for Extra Life, we raised in the area of like $25,000, right? And then I joined the team, and we just grew that and grew that until last year it was our best year ever. So now we're looking to top it again.
Yeah,
Um,
that is
yeah,
absolutely phenomenal.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's it's great, and you know what? I mean, both charities, right? Helping hospitals and then helping families who have lost a parent, right? I mean, right now during this time, super relevant,
Yeah.
right? There's, I mean, loss and illness is just that is a part of people's life, and I think recognizing that it just ongoing is so important. Like it's really easy to forget how hard it is to be sick, right? Like when you're healthy, you quickly take your health for granted.
Yeah.
But in times like this, it remembers like, look, we need to help each other in these tough times. So,
Yeah.
uh, yeah,
Well, that's wonderful, and I'm really glad that there is such a strong sense within Wizards of the Coast for these giving back to the community. It's something, in every employee of Wizards that I've ever interacted with, I get that sense that community is number one. They really believe that all of us that love this hobby, are on this equal playing field, and that we should give of ourselves to help those that are less fortunate, and help those in our community who might be vulnerable or hurting to heal and get back up on their feet. And now more than ever, we need to do so. So I really encourage you all, if you are hurting, to talk about it. Be open, share with your friends. You're welcome to use the hashtag Magic is Gathering to talk about how you might be having a hard time through all this, and we as a community can support each other, give each other the love and respect that we all deserve. And when everything's all said and done and we can gather back around the table and sling cards at each other, it will make us all that much stronger for it. Yeah.
yeah. Well said.
Yeah. So with that, it's definitely time to start closing up. I'm sure you have got to get back to the kiddos that are somewhere in the background.
That you can see the closed office door.
Very smart. Mine is as well, and I've got a cat on the other side that is just banging on it as hard as he can. But I've got a few last questions that I like to ask all of our guests. So first off is I like to provide an opportunity to share some stories of positivity that have come out of this whole pandemic and this experience. I've got a real quick one that I want to share, and that's just highlighting the number of D&D games that I have seen launch in the last 5 weeks is phenomenal. I like every single one of my friends who play the game, which is most of my friends because I'm a huge D&D fan, have launched campaign after campaign, still connecting with each other online. And I think it's really wonderful to see that resurgence of campaigns when we can't do it in person, because I know the power that D&D and Magic can have when you're gathering together as that group and to have that support of each other. So I'm really happy to see that our community has kind of really embraced that and continued to find those outlets to share and game with each other. But yeah, do you have any stories that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I totally do. I do need to ask: is your cat named Johnny? Is that
No, no, it is not.
okay?
But
I feel
after
like that
losing
would have been.
today, it might be.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're absolutely right about. I know me personally. I've been, forming different gaming groups in the evening, finding new ways to play board games. The For me, the thing that I've been enjoying the most is just how much time get to spend with my kids. Right? I mentioned, between not commuting, that saves me like an hour plus a day. The fact that everyone's not going off to all of these different places
Yeah,
means that I just get to spend a lot of time with my kids. I have an 8-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 3-year-old,
yeah,
and so just over the past 2 months, watching them growing up and being a part of it, like there's a lot of joy in uh, getting to spend so much time with my kids, and then also not sacrificing in other ways,
yeah.
right? Like I feel like that balancing act that any parent is trying to pull off has gotten easier in some ways, although being around being around your family 24/7 has challenges in other ways. But
Yeah.
overall, really positive. I've just really loved uh, how much time I've got to spend with him over the past couple months.
Very nice. Yeah. Second question. What type of food, or if there's a specific restaurant or, a place that you were really excited when the restrictions are lifted and you feel like you're safe enough to go out to those places, what type of food or what restaurant are you most excited to return to?
Well, I mean, the the thing I'm most excited to return to is uh, I'll say lunch with coworkers, right?
Oh,
Like
okay.
there's as a cuisine, because I mean we've gone and we've picked up, like my wife and I, we went and picked up food from a steakhouse one Friday evening for date night,
Yeah.
right? So I haven't been totally restricted on that, but I really do enjoy the camaraderie of going out to lunch with coworkers, and we'll play a game over lunch, or we'll just chat about our life. And so that's the thing I think uh, I most will enjoy.
Yeah.
Typically, I guess as a cuisine, we eat American,
Yeah.
so I'll say burgers.
Yeah. But it's really
Uh,
about that camaraderie. I think that's really wonderful about that human
yeah.
connection. And last question for you today. What public magic event are you most excited to get back out to? Whether that's attending a magic fest or maybe it's going to a draft night with friends or playing Commander. What are you looking forward to public magic?
I always really enjoy pre-releases, and so I was, uh, you know, that's the thing that it's just there's something really magical, both when I was a player of experiencing the new cards and just having all that focus be on, oh, this card, like I got Masticore at the, I
Yeah.
think Urza Destiny pre-release, and like I had never seen it before. I had never considered if it was good or not. I was like, I think this card's pretty good. I will include it in my sealed deck, right? To
Yeah.
like what you were thinking about not including it, like,
Yeah, that
and
discovery,
so
like, this is amazing.
yeah, discovery. That's it, right? There's that discovery element of playing a magic card for the first time, combined then, of course, with personally being so invested. Like I said, working on sets for years at a time, talking about them,
Yeah.
speculating about them. Like, oh, will people love mutate? Will they get it? Like, oh, and just having those debates.
Yeah.
Like, can
I,
we
for
tweak it
one,
this way?
love it.
That
I'm just going to put myself in the love camp right now. I think it's amazing. I love mutating creatures.
Yeah, right. It's so you get to build your own monster. It's
Yeah.
super super fun. Really, and that's what we hoped, right?
Yeah.
Uh, but along the way, there's ups and downs and everything, and so. But yeah, I'm really happy with how it came together. But for me,
Those
pre-releases are
pre-releases.
uh, that's the event.
Yeah.
Uh,
Wonderful.
I'm
Well, with that, we're going to start wrapping things up. To you, chat and viewers, thank you so much for taking some time out of your evening or your day to watch this and engage with us. This is our last Magic is Gathering. We've kind of hit the best is last, the penultimate here with Mike, but the work is just starting. We at least in the state of Washington and states across the U.S., we've gotten to a point where we have slowed the spread of COVID, but this is just the beginning of it. We still have a lot of troublesome times ahead and some rough spots, but we as a community can get past this because the Magic community is the strongest community that I've ever been in. So I really ask you, our community, to support each other, love each other, be nice on the internet. Mike said so you watch yourself, and continue to be healthy, be sane, interact, support each other, and we'll see you when we can all gather together. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. All right. Bye.
Bye.